Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Irish Abroad Show. It's myself, Paul Tierney, and I'm joined this week by Paul Nealon as Jer is out for. I'm not actually sure why Jer is out. He's meant to be doing it, but he got on to me and said he couldn't make it. So, Paul, how are things? FA Cup special this week?
Yeah, all good. Jer's obviously away feeding the calves on the farm, so I've decided to jump in his place. Really good weekend in the FA Cup. A lot of Irish action, obviously. We will be talking about that, but yeah, it was good to kind of. I know a lot of people maybe who support some of the bigger clubs were probably going, "Oh, it's just another week in the FA Cup." But for a lot of Irish fans, it was good because there was a lot of players who we haven't seen being given game time. And yeah, it was good in that sense. What did you make of it? Apologies for my dog there sneaking at the background.
Oh, right, no, but it was. I really enjoyed it up to having to watch my own team, Arsenal, get beaten again by Nottingham Forest. The only team who beaten Arsenal in the FA Cup since Wenger came in is Nottingham Forest, which is crazy to say they've beaten them twice. Uh, Disappointed that they're gone out. I don't think there's any point in going out of the FA Cup, especially with no Europe. So they didn't shake a leg. They're playing again tonight. Hopefully, they can put in a better performance. And yeah, disappointing. But look, yous got through anyway. I think it's important for yous to get through as well. Like, because
By the skin of our teeth.
yeah, by the skin, like Hull done well, but from what I saw of it, yous were a better team when yous played ball. That's what I thought anyway.
Yeah, Demarai Gray was a level above Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Gordon. But yeah, Seamus played, so it's good to see him
Mm-hmm.
there. Sean McLaughlin, he actually got a Player of the Month then for Hull this week as well, or yesterday. So he apparently done all right too. So well done to him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'll kick off with the FA Cup anyway. Loads of action, but I'll start off with the early games because there was a few on, and we'll start off with the first one that kicked off. Mansfield and Middlesbrough. A few lads involved from Mansfield. Stephen Quinn, a name we haven't heard of in a long time, played the full 90 minutes. Unfortunately, Mansfield were beaten 3-2 by Middlesbrough at Field Mill. John Joe O'Toole scored a late own goal to put Middlesbrough through to the next round there. Unfortunate for Mansfield because they were 2-0 down but got back into it and it was 2-2, so it could have gone to extra time and then penalties, and you never know what way it's going to go then. Callum O'Dowd's Bristol City were beaten 1-0 by Fulham after extra time at Ashton Gate. Unfortunate there for Callum. Jason Knight and Festi Ebisele were knocked out by Coventry City for Derby. Again, unfortunate for the Irish lads. A positive one here, though, and one of the shocks of the round, Gavin Hoolahan played the whole 90 minutes and led the celebrations for Hartlepool as they shocked Blackpool 2-1 at Victoria Park. Richard Keogh also played the full 90 in that. Paul, what do you think of that? Bit of a shock there. Great for Jeff Stelling, too.
Yeah, it seems Gavin Hoolahan seems to be a big favourite over there with with that club, and yeah, unfortunate for Richard Keogh, but this is why we like the FA Cup. Is those reasons is purely because you have shocks like this, and it's what keeps you interested in watching it. You know.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And as you said, I remember at the start of the season, I think you got the winner in the first game of the season for Hartlepool late on. And I remember Jeff was going mad. Big compliments for Gavin as well, former League of Ireland player. So good to see, and hopefully they can kick on the next round. I don't think they got picked for TV coverage today. They're away to Crystal Palace. Unfortunate for them, but look, they're in the fourth round and Arsenal aren't. That's the way to look at it.
And against the Premier League club.
The Premier League club, too. A good Premier League club. Speaking of Crystal Palace, we'll move on to them next. They beat Millwall 2-1 at the Den. It was the live game on ITV early on Saturday. And Danny McNamara and Alex Pearce played for Millwall in that game. Danny McNamara was actually very impressive from what I saw. Anyway, did you see any of it yourself?
I didn't, but I heard rave reviews about Dan McNamara, and I think he's going to be someone by the end of the season that Stephen Kenny should be looking at to come in at right back, just as a long term thing, because we do as well, and I'm sure you'll probably touch on Leo Connor too. We've got the two of them coming through, but I would say Leo Connor's probably not as developed as we would have hoped by this stage. Everyone thought by going to Celtic that would be his, I suppose, his big move and his big chance to propel himself and be the number one right back at Celtic, and it just hasn't worked out that way. But he seems to be a fan's favourite at Tranmere. And yeah, Dan McNamara, he just seems to be that bit ahead of him in the pecking order. Maybe not on the under 21s side of things, but definitely now I think the time he spent on loan away in the SPFL with I think it was St Johnston, that served him well. He came back last January, I think it was, or his loan spell was cut short. And he's really kicked on, and I think he's benefited, as I said, from going out playing first team football, coming back into the side. But I heard really good reviews about him. You've watched the game. What did you think of him?
I thought he was very good. He was constantly going forward and going at Palace. And I think in the FA Cup, when you're playing against a team from a higher level, it's just have no fear and just keep going at them. He caused a lot of problems down that right side for the Palace players. So, yeah, definitely. I thought he was brilliant. And even who was on commentary? I think it was Dean Ashton and Clive Tilsey. They were very complimentary of him as well. So yeah, hopefully Stephen will keep him in the thoughts anyway. Be very difficult to get past Seamus and Matt Doherty as well.
But it's just the only reason I say that is just because they're aging a bit. Like Seamus isn't getting any younger, and Matt's coming into his 30s, so we do need to start looking at in that position as somewhere where it is a position that you need to be a young lad coming into.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I know he was very impressive from what I saw anyway. And Millwall were very good in the first half, but Palace just showed their class in the second half. With your man Michael Elise, their winger, he just caused untold problems for them once he got going. So, yeah, good performance, though. Good to see. And good to see Alex Pearce playing again as well. We move on to the 3:00 games. Start off with the main shock. Cambridge beating Newcastle at St. James's Park. Wes Hoolhan came on for 30 minutes. A class act, as always. I mean, shown himself to still be class at the Premier League ground again, Paul.
Yeah, his first win at St. James's Park, would you believe? And it took him 39 years playing with Cambridge United now, obviously. It's mad, but it's beautiful at the same time. Like, people are so happy to see Wes. There always seems to be this real connection between the Irish fans and Wes. Everybody wants to see Wes. You do well to find someone talking bad about Wes. Like, I don't recall really seeing anyone talk badly about Wes Hoolahan. The fact he's still doing what he's doing. Shells are, today desperately linked with bringing him in. Damien Duff wants to bring him in just purely because you could see he looked after himself, and he's an exemplary professional. So I can think that's the reason why Shelburne are looking to get him in. It looks like that won't happen, if it is going to happen, till at least the summer, because they want to keep to the end of the season. Sorry, my dog's scratching the door down there behind me. Right. Trying to get in. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, so I just think to see him go to St. James's Park and get the shock and get the win and into the next round, seeing him celebrating and his long hair and his lovely locks, it's great to see. And he got an assist during the week as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we'll move on to that after. Maybe we'll keep going through the FA Cup anyway. But yeah, fantastic. And Cambridge, well deserved. Newcastle poor again and still haven't won a major trophy since 1955 for them. So that's sums that up, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
and potentially...
but Hendrick and Clark didn't play in that, did they?
No, they didn't at all. No.
It seems like their time is numbered there since Eddie Howe came in.
Yeah, I'm surprised with Clark, really, because I wouldn't fancy any of the other centre halves to be that much better than him anyway, to be honest. But yeah, unfortunately, I think Jeff's going to move on. Maybe might go back down to the Championship or lower Premier League side. Probably for the best anyway, if you want some game time. Anyway, next up from the 3:00 kickoffs, Sammy Schmodix got a goal for Peterborough as they knocked out Bristol Rovers. Jack Taylor played in that also for the Posh. Unfortunately, Chiedozie Ogbeni missed a crucial penalty for Rotherham as they lost out to QPR at Loftus Road. They were winning that 1-0, but they were pegged back through a goal from Lyndon Dykes. Jimmy Dunn and Joshua Coyote converted both their penalties in the shootout, though, which is positive news. And Kieran Sadlier also played 2 for Rotherham there. So unfortunate for Chiedozie, but look, he had such a good year last year. It's probably only a small mark.
Yeah, I saw the penalty actually. It's the only penalty they showed on Sky, I think it was. They just showed him missing the penalty, and you could see the dejection on his face as he walked back towards his teammates. But look, he's been having such a good spell recently. It was bound to, at some stage, kind of go on a little bit of a downward spiral. There's ups and downs in football. They say you get more downs than ups, but recently he's had more ups than downs. So hopefully it's just a slight little bump on the road. I think he's been playing brilliantly for Rotherham, as is Joshua Coyote and Kieran Sadlier. And Jimmy Dunn as well has been excellent for QPR, and the fans really seem to have taken to him. So I think with Ogbene, he actually has been playing so well that he could earn a move this month, and I don't think he'll let missing the penalty in the FA Cup third round really, get him that low. I think he'll bounce back next week and see how he goes from there. I wouldn't be worried if I was him.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. We go on to Sean McLaughlin. You were talking about him briefly, and Seamus Coleman. They both played in Hull's 3-2 defeat to your side, Everton, at I think it's still called the KC Stadium. I'm not sure, but yeah, a great game live on TV. Sean showed how good he was, and good win for Everton.
Yeah, I was only actually listening to the commentary on this game, so I didn't watch it in great detail. I obviously saw the highlights after the game, but like the way I was hearing things is people were saying that Hull were unlucky not to win the game. And from what I heard throughout the game, it was more Everton that were the better side. I think Hull had some flash chances. But yeah, Seamus Coleman's been playing in the back three recently. We all know there's been a rift between Rafa Benitez and Luca Dean, which has led to him leaving to Aston Villa now, and that deal's done. But what happened was he was making such an example of Luca Dean that he was playing Seamus Coleman out of position all the time. So he's playing left wing back. Sometimes he's playing the back three as a centre back. Well, when he's playing the back three as a centre back, that might actually suit Ireland because he's not doing as much in terms of getting around, and he's not putting as much on his body. As much of a workload on his body, so I think it actually might work out well for Ireland. And obviously he plays that position for Ireland more often than not if Matt Doherty's fit and we have Enda Stevens or James McLean fit. Generally speaking, Seamus Coleman will play that right centre back role of a back three alongside Shane Duffy and probably John Egan or Omar Bamadelli, one or the other. So I think that'll work out well if he continues to go with that. It'll be interesting to see what happens now since Everton have signed Patterson. Will Seamus still be number one, or will he kind of come in for a couple of games and Patterson or Coleman will come out for a few games? And John Joe Kenny's there as well, and he's got 2 assists in the last 2 games in that position as well. So look, it's interesting, but I know anytime Everton have brought in a fullback or anything like that, that Seamus has always fought hard to make sure he's number one. So I have no doubt that he will continue to try do that. And I think it's a good thing having someone like a Patterson coming in to learn off Seamus. That means that if Patterson's having a bad game or anything like that, that Seamus is still going to come in and still be a big part of Everton Football Club, because what's been happening before that was anytime Seamus made a mistake or anything like that, there was no one to kind of come in and take his position, and he was just getting hounded, and the fans were being incredibly harsh to him. But he just seems to brush it off. He's the ultimate professional, Seamus Coleman, as we know. And he helped Everton get over the line. Sean McLaughlin, I believe, played well. And as I said, he won Player of the Month yesterday, I think, on their Instagram. I think it was voted by the fans, or whatever way you vote through Uber Eats. I don't know how to do it, but he won Player of the Month for them.
Yeah, good stuff. And he has been playing well of late for Hull anyway. We spoke about him a couple of times on this show. We'll keep going on with the rest of the results from Saturday and Sunday. So we start off with Cardiff. James Collins got an assist as Cardiff beat Preston at the Cardiff City Stadium. Sean Maguire, Alan Brown and Greg Cunningham all played for Preston in that one as well. So disappointed for them, but good for James Collins, who gets a tie against Liverpool in the next round. Anthony O'Connor, probably one of the most popular goals of the weekend, scored for Morecambe to put them 1-0 up for a long time. Yeah, great. Spurs unfortunately came back to beat Morecambe 3-1. Shane McLaughlin played for Morecambe. Matt Doherty also played for Spurs. Great stuff from Anthony O'Connor and Morecambe, putting it right up to Spurs, who had to bring on the big guns in the end.
Yeah, well, look, as I mentioned earlier on in the show, this is why we watch the FA Cup, is for upsets like this and things like that to happen. It's a shock. There's so many of these games that you're bound to get one or two to be shocks. That's why they call it the magic of the FA Cup. You're always going, and these sides just raise their game completely, was you're probably putting out like a second string team, and then these sides are raising their game and trying to get wins, or trying to get any sort of replay even to then make more money for the club. And a lot of the time it works out really well for the clubs in terms of the way they get backed in that sense financially. Then when they get a replay or whatever, it might get the TV game or whatever it is. So yeah, it's good in that sense. Look, Spurs showed their quality in the end. Harry Kane scored a lovely goal at the end as well, through the defender's legs. But yeah, it just goes to show how hard Morecambe pushed him that they had to bring those players on. But Matt Doherty needs to get out of there ASAP, in my opinion. He's been playing left wing back against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup there. I think it was last night, and they were even saying at half time, I think Jamie Redknapp and Ashley Cole were saying they feel sorry for him because Chelsea were just targeting him every time he got the ball because he's trying to get it back onto his right foot to be comfortable. So yeah, I think he needs to get out of there ASAP. But hasn't been doing anything wrong. I've been watching the games. Some of the games he's been playing all right, but just probably hasn't put the ball away. But again, he's not a striker, so I'm not expecting him to really do that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. Couple more from the FA Cup on Saturday. Callum Robinson scored, but West Brom were beaten 2-1 by Brighton after extra time. You posted about Evan Ferguson on the weekend as well. He got an assist in that, which, I mean, whether he meant it or not, it still counts as an assist.
If he doesn't touch that ball, Paul, it's not a goal. So people can say, oh, it's a heavy... It was a heavy first touch, you're right, but it wasn't. It also was a registered assist. And he also had one disallowed as well, a goal disallowed. Shane Duffy played in that one as well. Captained them, I believe. Robinson scored a nice goal, yeah. I think the sending off killed West Brom in that sense. And Brighton were able to kind of... I think Malumbi would have been not cup-tied, but not allowed play against Brighton because obviously that's his parent club he's on loan from. So I think that's probably why he wasn't playing for them. But yeah, it was good to see Irish strikers getting spoken about, and obviously one of them getting on the score sheet. And obviously I like Brighton because the lads are there as well, the Irish lads. So unlucky for West Brom, but they can concentrate on the Championship now and try and get themselves back up where they belong. And hopefully Darragh O'Shea will be back in the next couple of months as well. It'd be nice to see him back playing. He got injured against Serbia or someone like that. He was injured anyway on international duty and he hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, definitely. Couple more things from the weekend. Adam Ida only got 6 minutes in Norwich's first win in a long time, 1-0 win over Charlton at the Valley. And Darragh Lenihan, Will Keane, James McLean all played in a thriller as Wigan beat Blackburn 3-2 in another kind of shock. I'm not really surprised by that one though, to be honest. But I think that wraps up the FA Cup. Did I miss anything there or... No, I don't think so.
Not that I can remember, no.
Yeah, no, nothing standout-ish anyway. We move on to League 1 and League 2 from the weekend anyway. Start off with League 1. Daryl Horgan was a late sub as Wycombe drew 3-3 with Sunderland. The cracking game there was on at the same time as the FA Cup game, so probably missed by a few people.
I caught the end of that. I think Sunderland scored really late, and then I think Wycombe scored really, really late towards the end of the game, yeah.
Yeah, very dramatic. Dramatic League 1. Always the same in League 1. John O'Sullivan, Troy Parrott and Warren O'Hara all played in Accrington Stanley's 1-1 draw with MK Dons. Good to see Troy probably back. He's back from injury now anyway, and he's playing week in, week out. And Warren O'Hara is very highly rated at MK Dons as well, so that's good to hear too. Thomas O'Connor and Conor Shaughnessy both played in Burton Albion's 1-1 draw with Cheltenham Town. Keane Hayes played in Fleetwood's 1-0 win over Doncaster Rovers. And Anthony Scully scored as Lincoln beat Luke McNally and Mark Sykes Oxford 2-0 at Sincil Bank. That's the first win in a long time for them and first goal in a long time for Anthony.
I think he was injured. He scored a really nice goal. Yeah, it's a trademark Scully goal at this stage. Right, gets the ball on the left-hand side. He kind of cut in towards the edge of the box. I don't know if you saw the goal, but he buried it top corner. He just seems to score those types of goals all the time. But I believe he was injured. I think he was out for like 7 games. Or it was his first goal in 7 games, but I think he had been injured. So it's great to see him back on the score sheet. And he'll be hoping that he can maybe propel Lincoln up the table and keep scoring goals. And then, March is only around the corner really. And if he can replicate the form that he was showing, back, when was the last? It was November, the last game, where he probably was just overlooked in the pecking order ahead of those games. So I think he'll be eyeing up these March friendlies whenever they're announced as games that he can maybe potentially make his first cap or at least get the first call up, because I think he's shown he knows where the net is. We're not really blessed in that kind of left wing position for too many players. I know Aaron Connolly's played there a good few times. but and McLean has as well. But I just think that he'd be far better there. I think he's more direct and he's good at running at players, as we said there a second ago, and he knows where the net is. And not too many of our players do know where the net is. And I don't care if it's League One or if it's the Premier League. He's called up Ronan Curtis a good few times, and he plays in the same league. And I'm sure there's other players that I may be missing that he's called up as well.
Yeah,
I think he should be in there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Shout. I think he should. I thought he should definitely been in at the start of the season. And I thought it was madness that he didn't get in, because Ronan Curtis wasn't really up to much at the start. He's starting to perform a bit now the last couple of weeks, but at the start he wasn't. I think it was just for experience, maybe. I don't know. I don't really think that's a thing in international. It is to an extent, but like, it's ultimately a game of chess at the end of the day, really, international football, especially the qualifiers and friendlies. So yeah, I definitely thought he should have been in. Even look at the Qatar game, he could have had a good run around that day as well, but look, wasn't to be. But hopefully in March we might see a couple of new faces who deserve to have an opportunity. We go on to League Two now. We were talking about Leo Connor earlier. He played in Tranmere's 4-0 win over Scunthorpe on the weekend. I think he got man of the match from that as well, didn't he? Yeah, he was very good. Yeah. So that's good to see. Obviously, you mentioned disappointing it hasn't really worked out for him, but look, good to see he's involved now at the top of the table in League Two as well, and playing for a well-supported Tranmere side as well. A well-supported team here as well, really. A lot of people do follow Tranmere. A couple of people who live up by me follow Tranmere as well. I think maybe that was just because they didn't want to follow a Premier League side, but yeah, well known, and look, good stuff from Lee. That's what you want to hear. One more thing from the weekend as well, I forgot to mention, was Friday night. Ronan Curtis got a double against Exeter City, which made him Portsmouth's the leading scorer in the 21st century for Portsmouth, which that's some stat considering how bad Portsmouth would have been for a lot of that as well. But yeah, great stat for Ronan and well deserved.
Well, I think he's ahead of Yakubu and these types of players, isn't he now? So yeah. Obviously Yakubu was doing it in the Premier League, but Curtis went there a few seasons ago. I think it was 2018. And every year he's really been their standout attacking player. He scored goals from that kind of left wing position, cutting in on the right foot. Seems to be their talisman. And there's been talk of obviously wanting to see Curtis go up the levels again, but he hasn't. Be interested to see what does happen at the end of the season. And I think more eyes have kind of been on Portsmouth now because of the likes of Bazunu playing in there as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see what his next move is. But congratulations to him, and I'm delighted for him because he seems like a nice fella. And hopefully he continues to add to that record. And see how many more you can get. Yeah.
We will go on. There's one Premier League game as well we should talk about. Adam Ida got a start last night against West Ham. He was unfortunate not to score. A great effort from outside the box, was very unlucky. But unfortunately,
you know what I don't like about that, Paul. I don't mean to cut you off there. Is the way people are putting it out on social media as if he scored. The keeper made a save. I think he pushed it onto the post, or he saved it. It wasn't as close as people were making out to be. He done well to play, and I'm happy for him, and hopefully he continues to get minutes. But this whole, oh my God, he nearly scored thing, it's a very... if that's the bar that we're setting it at now, it's a very low bar. I don't think we should be setting the bar that low. Look, when he scores his first Premier League goal, then we should be celebrating. But to be going, oh my God, he nearly scored. Like, I'm sure he's like, yeah, but I didn't score. So why he's like advertising the fact that I had a good shot? Look, it's very, very small-minded attitude. And I'm not saying that's from you. It's just some of the accounts I've seen sharing it, and I was just like, why are you sharing that? Like, it's not like he's put the ball in the net. It's very, when he does score, then share that, absolutely. But when the keeper makes a standard save against him, not for me. He did well though. He did well to make the space with a couple of step overs, and he dropped the shoulder. It was a good shot, but look, it didn't go in. So
yeah, exactly. You've summed it up there. It's basically like they're expecting him not to score, and they're so shocked that he has nearly scored. So I completely get you with that one. One more thing we should talk about as well. Roberto Lopez playing the Africa Cup of Nations. His team Cape Verde, they won 1-0 on Sunday night, started off brilliantly, and they are playing tonight against Burkina Faso. Did you see any of that game yourself? A clean sheet in your first ever tournament game is very good going, you know.
I didn't see Pico's game. I did see the game. I was watching with Gary, Nigeria and Egypt. That was a good game. It's just been utter chaos in that tournament. I know the Tunisia and Mali game last night was ridiculous. But even the game we were watching, I think Egypt should have had a penalty because the Nigerian player kicks. I think it wasn't Sada. It might have been Sada. It was an Egyptian player anyway. He was in the box and he kicks him, and then next minute he trips him with his hand like a rugby tackle, and it wasn't given, and it went to VAR 3 times. The keeper took the goal kick, and the ref stopped the keeper 3 times every time he took the kick and made him retake it while he was checking VAR. And I just thought it was a bit of a farce, and it kind of puts a bit of a bad light on a good tournament because you can see how much it means to the African fans and stuff like that. But the fact is, it's coming across like it's very corrupt. And it's also coming across as not very professional if you're not checking these things. And the way your man blew up the game yesterday early was just stupid. Like
early and 5 minutes early the first time as well is just like it's ridiculous.
You're making a mockery of something that I'm sure a lot of African fans are like going crazy about. The fact that this is what everybody's watching around the world because everyone's always just trying to find football games, and the fact that it's on Sky Sports. This and that, it's poor that they're doing it that way, you know what I mean? But as far as Pico's concerned, fantastic win, and clean sheet, as you say, putting himself on a stage, and he's getting great publicity out of it. He's up on Sky Sports. The Independent are doing like a diary with him. So he's getting good feedback. Shamrock Rovers are getting good publicity out of it. Everyone's kind of winner. It's a good story. It's a good news story for Irish football. Well, an Irish footballer who's obviously playing in Cape Verde. And, he's a great lad as well. So you just want to see him do well, just purely down to the fact that he's a great guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you watch it? What have you thought of it so far as well?
I've watched a couple of games. What annoyed me about Egypt the other day is that sorry, I froze for a second there. Is that I think with Kirosh they're probably more defensive minded than they should be because they've got probably at the moment the best player on form in the world, really. So why not just go for it and play the ball into him as much as you can? I think you've seen most of the games have been 1-0 or 0-0. Now today, I think Cameroon won 4-1 and they won their first game 2-1. Obviously, they're hosts, so they're going to be a bit more buzzed about the whole thing. I think hosts always kind of have a bit more of an edge. Whenever you saw Russia in 2018, England in the Euros, I mean, half their games are at home, besides one, more than half the games. So, I mean, obviously, they're going to have a bit more of a kick from that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think teams could go for it a little bit more because it's their chance to shine on a global stage. And I think some of the managers are just far too defensive. But look, hopefully it improves. I think it was a bit of a farce you mentioned the other day as well. We don't want to see that. But look, it's still a major tournament and, that's the thing. And it all builds up to the World Cup now coming up in December. We're seeing these African teams, they're going to have a tournament under their belt, the ones who qualify. So kind of an advantage for them, really, I think. Just unfortunate it's nearly a whole year away from it. But, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Just open up a bit more. That's all I'd say to the managers. Just open up a
more goals.
Bit more. Yeah, exactly. Look, I think it's always the first round of games is always a bit defensive in the tournament. But, look, once you hit the second round, like when teams have to get results, that's when they have to go for it. So that's the way to look at it anyway. And look, for Pico, fantastic stuff. I think they've got a great chance of going through now as well because it's like the Euros, the 4th, 3rd place teams go through. Once you have a win, it gives you a great advantage. And if they got something tonight, even a point, they're basically through. So that's fantastic. And then he'd be playing in the last 16 of a major tournament and anything could happen there. So, yeah, fantastic for him. And I spoke to him once or twice up at Rovers, lovely lad. And great to see. and he's shown his class on the world stage, as you said. So yeah, fantastic, and hopefully he keeps going and goes further on into the tournament, so keeps the Irish interest as well.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think that's it for this week. I've gone through everything. It was kind of a quieter week because of the FA Cup. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Thanks very much, Paul, for coming on. I know it was very last minute, but thanks very much. Thanks to everyone for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back next week with another show with Premier League and Championship back next week as well. So thanks very much, guys, and see you soon.